Question 1. Which of the following best describes the primary goal of information security? Options: A. Preventing all unauthorized access. B. Balancing protection with business operations. C. Eliminating all vulnerabilities. D. Encrypting all sensitive data. Correct answer: B. The primary goal of information security is to balance protection with enabling business operations. Security must support, not hinder, the organization's mission. Perfect security is impossible. The goal is risk management and maintaining the CIA Triad while allowing business to function. Question 2. In the CIA Triad, what does integrity mean? Options: A. Only authorized users can access data. B. Data is available when needed. C. Data is accurate and has not been tampered with. D. Data is encrypted in transit. Correct answer: C. Integrity means ensuring data accuracy and trustworthiness, that data has not been altered or tampered with by unauthorized parties. Examples include checksums, hash functions, MD5, SHA, and digital signatures. Confidentiality equals only authorized access. Availability equals systems accessible when needed. Question 3. What is the correct formula for calculating risk? Options: A. Risk equals threat x vulnerability. B. Risk equals asset value divided by threat. C. Risk equals threat x vulnerability x asset value. D. Risk equals impact x probability. Correct answer: A. Risk equals threat x vulnerability, or risk equals likelihood x impact. A threat exploits a vulnerability to harm an asset. Understanding this formula is fundamental to risk assessment and risk management frameworks. Question 4. Which type of law holds organizations liable for failing to exercise due care in protecting information? Options: A. Criminal law. B. Administrative law. C. Civil/tort law. D. International law. Correct answer: C. Civil/tort law, specifically negligence torts, holds organizations liable for failing to exercise due care. If a company is negligent in protecting data and harm results, they can face civil lawsuits. Due care equals doing what a prudent person would do. Due diligence equals ongoing actions to maintain due care. Question 5. Which security framework is based on PDCA, Plan Do Check Act? Options: A. NIST CSF. B. ISO 27001. C. COBIT. D. ITIL. Correct answer: B. ISO 27001, Information Security Management System, ISMS, is based on the PDCA cycle. Plan: Establish ISMS. Do: Implement controls. Check: Monitor and review. Act: Continually improve. ISO 27001 is paired with ISO 27002, which provides implementation guidance. Question 6. What does risk transference mean? Options: A. Moving a server to a secure location. B. Transferring risk to a third party such as an insurance company. C. Accepting the risk without treatment. D. Eliminating the vulnerability causing the risk. Correct answer: B. Risk transference shifts the financial impact of risk to a third party, typically through insurance or contracts. The 4 risk responses are: avoid, eliminate activity, transfer, insurance/contracts, mitigate, reduce impact/likelihood, accept, acknowledge and monitor. Question 7. What is AIL in quantitative risk analysis? Options: A. Annual loss expectancy. B. Average likelihood estimate. C. Asset level evaluation. D. Annual legal exposure. Correct answer: AIL, annual loss expectancy, equals SLE x ARO. SLE, single loss expectancy, equals asset value x exposure factor. ARO equals how many times per year the event occurs. Example: asset $100,000, exposure 30%, ARO2 equals SLE $30,000, AIL $60,000. AIL helps justify security spending. Question 8. Which security concept ensures that actions can be traced back to a specific individual? Options: A. Authentication. B. Authorization. C. Accountability. D. Non-repudiation. Correct answer: C. Accountability ensures actions can be traced to a specific individual through audit trails and logging. Non-repudiation is similar but specifically means a party cannot deny having performed an action, typically achieved through digital signatures. Question 9. Which regulatory framework specifically protects healthcare patient information in the United States? Options: A. PCI DSS. B. SOX. C. HIPAA. D. GDPR. Correct answer: C. HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, protects FI, protected health information. Key rules: Privacy Rule, Security Rule, Safeguards for EPHI, and Breach Notification Rule. PCI DSS covers payment cards, SOX covers financial reporting, GDPR covers EU personal data. Question 10. What does due diligence mean in cybersecurity? Options: A. Implementing specific security controls. B. Continuously assessing and verifying that security measures are working. C. Training employees on security policies. D. Performing annual penetration tests. Correct answer: B. Due diligence equals ongoing research and verification to ensure security practices remain effective. Due care equals implementing appropriate security measures. Memory aid: due care equals doing the right thing. Due diligence equals verifying the right things are still being done correctly. Both are required to avoid negligence liability. Question 11. Which data classification level is most sensitive in a government setting? Options: A. Confidential. B. Secret. C. Top secret. D. Sensitive but unclassified. Correct answer: C. In U.S. government classification, top secret is the highest level. Unauthorized disclosure could cause exceptionally grave damage to national security. Hierarchy: unclassified, sensitive but unclassified, confidential, secret, top secret. Commercial equivalents include public, internal, confidential, and restricted. Question 12. What is data remanence? Options: A. Data backed up across multiple locations. B. Residual data remaining after deletion attempts. C. Data that has never been classified. D. Real-time synchronized data. Correct answer: B. Data remanence is residual data that remains even after attempts to erase it. Simply deleting files does not truly remove data, magnetic patterns may persist. Solutions include degaussing, secure overwriting, DoD 5220.22m, and physical destruction such as shredding or incineration. Question 13. Which of the following is the best method to sanitize an SSD before disposal? Options: A. Degaussing, B. Single pass overwriting, C. Physical destruction or cryptographic erasure, D. Formatting the drive. Correct answer: C. SSDs use flash memory which does not respond to magnetic degaussing, and where leveling makes overwriting unreliable. Best methods are: cryptographic erasure, encrypt data first, then delete the key, or physical destruction, shredding. Simply formatting an SSD leaves data recoverable. Question 14. Which concept describes giving users only the minimum access rights needed for their job? Options: A. Need to know, B. Least privilege, C. Provisioning, D. Identity governance. Correct answer: B. Least privilege means giving users, systems, and processes only the minimum access rights needed, nothing more. Combined with need to know, this reduces the attack surface. Violations lead to privilege creep, accumulation of unnecessary rights, addressed through regular access reviews. Question 15. In data handling, what is a data custodian responsible for? Options: A. Classifying data and determining access policies, B. The day-to-day management and security of data on behalf of the owner, C. Using the data for business purposes, D. Auditing data access logs quarterly. Correct answer: B. Data owner, senior management responsible for classification and access decisions. Data custodian, IT staff responsible for implementing security controls, backups, and day-to-day management. Data user, employees who access data for job duties. The custodian implements what the owner decides. Question 16. What security model uses the concept of no read up, no write down? Options: A. Biba model, B. Bell-LaPadula model, C. Clark-Wilson model, D. Brewer-Nash model. Correct answer: B. The Bell-LaPadula model focuses on confidentiality using MAC. Simple security property equals no read up. Star property equals no write down. Memory trick, BLP equals confidentiality, subjects cannot read above their level or write below it. Question 17. Which model focuses on data integrity using no read down, no write up? Options: A. Bell-LaPadula, B. Biba model, C. Clark-Wilson, D. Graham-Denning. Correct answer: B. The Biba model is the integrity counterpart to Bell-LaPadula. Simple integrity property equals no read down. Star integrity property equals no write up. This protects data from contamination by lower quality sources. Memory trick, Biba equals integrity, opposite rules of Bell-LaPadula. Question 18. In cryptography, which algorithm is asymmetric, uses public/private key pairs? Options: AES, B. DES, C. RSA, D. 3 DES. Correct answer: C. RSA, Rivest-Shamir-Adleman, is an asymmetric algorithm using public/private key pairs. Public key encrypts, private key decrypts. AES, DES, and 3 DES are all symmetric algorithms. Asymmetric is slower but solves the key distribution problem. RSA is used for key exchange and digital signatures. Question 19. What does a Trusted Platform Module, TPM, primarily provide? Options: A. Network intrusion detection, B. Hardware-based cryptographic key storage, C. Application firewall capabilities, D. Biometric authentication. Correct answer. B. A TPM is a dedicated microchip on the motherboard providing hardware-based cryptographic functions and secure key storage. It generates and stores keys, provides platform integrity measurements, enables full disk encryption like BitLocker, and ensures the system has not been tampered with during boot. Question 20. What is defense in depth? Options: A. Using a single, very strong firewall. B. Layering multiple security controls so that if one fails, others remain. C. Encrypting data at multiple classification levels. D. Having backup security personnel. Correct answer. B. Defense in depth means layering multiple security controls. If one layer fails, others still provide protection. Layers include physical security, network perimeter, internal network, host, application, and data. Also applies to using multiple control types: preventive, detective, and corrective. Question 21. What is the primary purpose of a DMZ, demilitarized zone? Options: A. To host internal HR systems. B. To provide a network segment for publicly accessible servers while protecting the internal network. C. To replace the need for a firewall. D. To store encrypted backup data. Correct answer. B. A DMZ is a perimeter network segment hosting publicly accessible servers, web, email, DNS, that external users need to reach. Even if a DMZ server is compromised, the attacker still faces another firewall before reaching the internal network. Architecture: Internet, firewall, DMZ, firewall, internal network. Question 22. What is perfect forward secrecy, PFS? Options: A. An encryption algorithm with no known weaknesses. B. Generating unique session keys so past sessions cannot be decrypted if the long-term key is compromised. C. A digital signature scheme preventing forgery. D. A certificate transparency mechanism. Correct answer. B. Perfect forward secrecy ensures each session uses a unique session key via Diffie-Hellman key exchange. If the server's private key is later compromised, past encrypted sessions cannot be decrypted because session keys were never stored. TLS 1.3 mandates PFS using ECD or DHE cipher suites. Question 23. At which OSI layer does IPSec operate? Options: A. Layer 2, data link. B. Layer 3, network. C. Layer 4, transport. D. Layer 7, application. Correct answer. B. IPSec operates at Layer 3, network layer. It secures IP communications by authenticating and encrypting each IP packet. IPSec has two modes: transport mode, encrypts payload only, and tunnel mode, encrypts entire IP packet, used in VPNs. It uses a authentication header and ESP, encapsulating security payload. Question 24. What is the primary difference between IDs and IPS? Options: A. IDs uses signatures, IPS uses anomaly detection. B. IPS can actively block traffic, IDs only detects and alerts. C. IDs is hardware, IPS is software. D. IPS works at Layer 7, IDs works at Layer 3. Correct answer. B. IDs, intrusion detection system, is passive, it detects and alerts but does not stop traffic. IPS, intrusion prevention system, is active, it can block, drop, or quarantine malicious traffic inline. An IDs is like a burglar alarm, An IPS is like a security guard actively stopping intruders. Question 25. Which attack involves sending packets with a spoofed source IP equal to the destination IP? Options: A Smurf attack, B. Land attack, C. Teardrop attack, D. Fraggle attack. Correct answer: B. A land attack sends a TCP SYN packet where the source IP and destination IP are the same, the victim's IP, causing the system to send the SYN ACK to itself, creating an infinite loop and DOS. Smurf equals ICMP flood via broadcast. Teardrop equals overlapping IP fragments. Fraggle equals UDP version of Smurf. Question 26. What does SSL/TLS primarily protect against? Options: A. SQL injection attacks, B. Eavesdropping and man-in-the-middle attacks in transit, C. Denial of service attacks, D. Insider threats. Correct answer: B. SSL/TLS provides encryption in transit, protecting against eavesdropping, sniffing, and man-in-the-middle attacks. TLS 1.3 is current, SSL 3.0, TLS 1.0, and 1.1 are deprecated. TLS provides confidentiality, encryption, integrity, MAC, and authentication certificates. Question 27. What is ARP poisoning, ARP spoofing? Options: A. Flooding a network with ARP requests, B. Sending fake ARP replies to link attackers' MAC to a legitimate IP, C. Encrypting ARP traffic to prevent sniffing, D. Blocking ARP broadcasts on a network. Correct answer: B. ARP poisoning sends forged ARP replies, associating the attacker's MAC address with a legitimate IP. This redirects traffic through the attacker's machine, enabling man-in-the-middle attacks, sniffing, and session hijacking. It works only on local LAN. Prevention: Dynamic ARP inspection, static ARP entries, VLAN segmentation. Question 28. Which access control model grants / denies access based on security labels assigned to subjects and objects? Options: A. DAC, discretionary access control, B. MAC, mandatory access control, C. ABAC, role-based access control, D. ABAC, attribute-based access control. Correct answer: B. MAC uses security labels, classifications like top secret, secret, confidential, assigned to both subjects and objects. The OS enforces access based on these labels, users cannot override them. This is used in military and government systems. DAC equals owner controls access. ABAC equals access by job role. ABAC equals access by multiple attributes. Question 29. What is the purpose of separation of duties, SOD? Options: A. To ensure employees rotate job functions, B. To prevent any single person from completing a fraudulent action alone, C. To separate IT staff from security staff, D. To ensure backup administrators exist. Correct answer: B. Separation of duties ensures no single individual has enough access to complete a fraudulent transaction alone, requiring collusion between at least two people to commit fraud. Example: the person who requests a purchase order should not be the same person who approves payment. Also called dual control or two-person integrity. Question 30. Which authentication factor is a smart card an example of? Options: A. Something you know, B. Something you have, C. Something you are, D. Somewhere you are. Correct answer. B. A smart card is something you have, a physical token / possession factor. The three classic factors: 1. Something you know, password, PIN. 2. Something you have, smart card, hardware token. 3. Something you are, biometrics, fingerprint, retina. Multi-factor authentication combines two or more different factor types. Question 31. What is Kerberos primarily used for? Options: A network intrusion detection. B. Centralized authentication using tickets. C. Public key infrastructure management. D. Single sign-on via SAML tokens. Correct answer: B. Kerberos is a network authentication protocol using symmetric cryptography and ticket-based authentication. Components: KDC contains authentication server and ticket granting server. Process: user authenticates to AS, receives TGT, presents TGT to TGS, receives service ticket, accesses resource. Used extensively in Windows Active Directory environments. Question 32. What is single sign-on, SSO? Options: A policy allowing only one login attempt. B. Authentication once to access multiple systems without re-authenticating. C. A security protocol for single-factor authentication. D. One administrator managing all user accounts. Correct answer: B. SSO allows users to authenticate once and gain access to multiple systems without re-entering credentials. Technologies: SAML, OAuth 2.0, OpenID Connect. Risk: SSO is a single point of failure. If the SSO provider is compromised, all linked systems are at risk. Benefits: improved user experience and centralized control. Question 33. What is privilege creep? Options: A. Unauthorized elevation of privileges through exploitation. B. The gradual accumulation of access rights beyond what a user needs. C. A malware type that escalates privileges. D. Slowly cracking an encrypted privilege token. Correct answer: B. Privilege creep occurs when employees gradually accumulate access rights over time through job changes or project assignments that are never revoked. This violates least privilege. Solution: periodic access reviews, automated provisioning with role changes, and PAM, privileged access management, tools. Question 34. What is a penetration test designed to do? Options: A. Monitor network traffic for anomalies. B. Simulate real-world attacks to find exploitable vulnerabilities. C. Scan systems for known CVEs only. D. Audit user access rights. Correct answer: B. A penetration test simulates real-world cyber attacks to identify vulnerabilities that could be exploited. Types: black box, no prior knowledge, white box, full knowledge, gray box, partial knowledge. Phases: reconnaissance, scanning, exploitation, post-exploitation, reporting. Question 35. What does false positive mean in security testing? Options: A real attack that was missed. B. An alert triggered when no actual threat exists. C. A vulnerability that cannot be exploited. D. A test that passed incorrectly. Correct answer: B. A false positive is when a security system generates an alert for something that is actually harmless. A false negative is when a real threat goes undetected. False positives cause alert fatigue. False negatives are more dangerous as they allow real attacks to succeed. Tuning security tools reduces false positives. Question 36. Which vulnerability assessment technique involves testing an application by providing random, unexpected inputs? Options: A static analysis. B. Fuzzing, fuzz testing. C. Code review. D. Regression testing. Correct answer: B. Fuzzing feeds random, malformed, or unexpected data into an application to discover vulnerabilities like buffer overflows, crashes, and unexpected behavior. Types: mutation-based fuzzing, modifying valid inputs, and generation-based fuzzing, creating inputs from scratch. Popular tools: AFL, Burp Suite Intruder, BuFuzz. Question 37. What is the difference between vulnerability scanning and penetration testing? Options: A vulnerability scanning is done by external teams only. B. Vulnerability scanning identifies potential weaknesses, pentesting exploits them. C. Penetration testing is automated, vulnerability scanning is manual. D. There is no difference, they are the same. Correct answer: B. Vulnerability scanning is automated, non-intrusive identification of known vulnerabilities using tools like Nessus, OpenVAS, or Qualys. Penetration testing actively attempts to exploit vulnerabilities to demonstrate real-world risk. Vul scanning equals finding unlocked doors. Pentesting equals actually opening those doors. Question 38. What is a SOC 2 Type 2 report? Options: A penetration testing methodology. Question 38. What is a SOC 2 Type 2 report? Options: A penetration testing methodology. B. An audit report covering the effectiveness of security controls over a period of time. C. A government security framework for cloud providers. D. A certification for ISO 27001 compliance. Correct answer: B. SOC 2 by ICPA evaluates service providers' controls across 5 trust service criteria: security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, and privacy. Type I equals controls exist at a point in time. Type 2 equals controls are operating effectively over a period, 6 to 12 months. Cloud providers commonly obtain SOC 2 Type 2. Question 39. What is the first step in incident response according to NIST SP 800-61? Options: A. Containment. B. Eradication. C. Preparation. D. Detection and analysis. Correct answer: C. NIST SP 800-61. Incident response life cycle: 1. Preparation. 2. Detection and analysis. 3. Containment, eradication, and recovery. 4. Post-incident activity. Preparation is first, establishing IR capability, policies, procedures, and tools before incidents occur. Mnemonic: PSO, prepare, detect, contain, eradicate, recover. Question 40. What is the difference between hot site, warm site, and cold site in disaster recovery? Options: A. They differ in geographic location. B. They differ in readiness level and cost. C. They differ in the type of data stored. D. They differ in network connectivity only. Correct answer: B. Hot site, fully operational, real-time data replication, highest cost, RTO in hours. Warm site, partially equipped, needs some setup, moderate cost, RTO in days. Cold site, just a building with power and connectivity, needs everything installed, lowest cost, RTO in weeks. Choose based on RTO and RPO requirements. Question 41. What does chain of custody ensure in digital forensics? Options: A. Encrypted evidence storage. B. The integrity and admissibility of evidence by documenting its handling. C. Secure deletion of evidence post-trial. D. Chain of command for incident response. Correct answer: B. Chain of custody documents every person who handled evidence, when, and why, ensuring integrity and legal admissibility. Best practices: use write blockers, create forensic images, bit-for-bit copies, verify with hash values, MD5/SHA256, seal in tamper-evident bags, and log every transfer. Question 42. What is the primary purpose of a SIEM? Options: A. To block malicious traffic at the network perimeter. B. To aggregate and correlate security events for real-time threat detection. C. To manage user identities and access rights. D. To scan for vulnerabilities on endpoints. Correct answer: B. A SIEM collects, aggregates, and correlates security events from multiple sources, firewalls, IDs, servers, endpoints, in real time to detect threats. Key functions: log aggregation, event correlation, real-time alerting, threat intelligence integration, and compliance reporting. Popular SIEMs: Splunk, IBM QRadar, Microsoft Sentinel. Question 43. What is need to know in the context of access control? Options: A. Users should know their password complexity requirements. B. Access to information is granted only when required for job duties. C. Employees must be informed of security policies. D. Users should know which systems they can access. Correct answer: B. Need to know means access to sensitive information is granted only to individuals who require it for their specific job duties, even if they have the proper clearance level. A top-secret clearance does not automatically grant access to all top-secret information. Need to know plus appropriate clearance equals access granted. Question 44. What is RPO in business continuity planning? Options: A. Recovery protocol operation. B. Recovery point objective, maximum acceptable data loss measured in time. C. Redundancy planning option. D. Remote protection object. Correct answer: B. RPO, recovery point objective, defines the maximum acceptable data loss measured in time. How old can our data be when we recover? Example: RPO equals 4 hours means up to 4 hours of data loss is acceptable. RPO drives backup frequency. RTO equals how quickly systems must be restored. Both are determined by business impact analysis. Question 45. What is order of volatility in digital forensics? Options: A priority order for patching vulnerabilities. B. The sequence for collecting evidence from most to least volatile data. C. Classification order for sensitive information. D. Evidence admissibility ranking in court. Correct answer: B. Order of volatility guides forensic investigators to collect evidence from most volatile to least volatile. RFC 3227 Order: 1. CPU registers and cache. 2. RAM and running processes. 3. Swap forward/virtual memory. 4. Hard drive data. 5. Remote logging data. 6. Physical configuration. 7. Archival media. Always capture volatile data first, it is lost on shutdown. Question 46. Which SDLC phase is the most cost-effective time to fix security vulnerabilities? Options: A testing phase, B. Deployment phase, C. Requirements and design phase, D. Maintenance phase. Correct answer: C. The earlier in the SDLC a vulnerability is found, the cheaper to fix. Fixing in design costs approximately $100, in coding $1,000, in testing $10,000, in production $100,000 or more. This is the shift-left security principle: integrate security early during requirements and design. This is the foundation of DevSecOps. Question 47. What type of attack injects malicious SQL code into an input field to manipulate a database? Options: A cross-site scripting, XSS, B. SQL injection, C. CSRF, D. Buffer overflow. Correct answer: B. SQL injection occurs when attacker-supplied SQL code is inserted into a query, allowing unauthorized database access, data exfiltration, modification, or deletion. Example: entering or 1 equals 1 in a login form bypasses authentication. Prevention: parameterized queries, stored procedures, input validation, and least privilege database accounts. Question 48. What is cross-site request forgery, CSRF? Options: A. Injecting scripts into web pages viewed by others, B. Tricking authenticated users into submitting unauthorized requests, C. Stealing session cookies via network sniffing, D. Bypassing authentication through SQL manipulation. Correct answer: B. CSRF tricks an authenticated user's browser into sending unintended requests to a trusted site. Example: attacker embeds a hidden form on a malicious site that submits a bank transfer. If the victim is logged into their bank, the request executes with their credentials. Prevention: CSRF tokens, same site cookie attribute, checking origin and referrer headers. Question 49. What is a buffer overflow vulnerability? Options: A database query that returns too many results, B. Writing more data to a buffer than it can hold, overwriting adjacent memory, C. Network packet flooding causing service disruption, D. Overloading CPU with computational tasks. Correct answer: B. A buffer overflow occurs when a program writes more data to a buffer than it can hold, causing data to spill into adjacent memory. Attackers exploit this to overwrite return addresses and execute malicious code. Prevention: input validation, bounds checking, safe functions, ASLR, DEP, and stack canaries. Question 50. What is the OWASP Top 10 primarily focused on? Options: A. Network security vulnerabilities, B. The most critical web application security risks, C. Cloud infrastructure misconfigurations, D. Physical security controls for data centers. Correct answer: B. The OWASP Top 10 lists the 10 most critical web application security risks. Recent 2021 Top 10 includes: Broken access control at number 1, Cryptographic failures, Injection, Insecure design, Security misconfiguration, Vulnerable components, and Authentication failures. Essential reading for every IPSec professional. Quiz complete. You scored 0 out of 50. Books: keep studying. 0%, CISSP requires 70% to pass. Review flagged domains and retry.